Tonight, new developments on Cornell University's missing student, first year Shawn West. And what updates the school has on his whereabouts.
Plus, the latest on the COVID-19 vaccine rollout plan in Tompkins County, focusing on underserved communities.
And with Prince Philip's funeral date now set, how are leaders around the world reacting? All that and more coming up tonight on Newswatch.
Covering Ithaca and all of Tompkins County. From ICTV News, this is Newswatch.
Good evening and thank you for tuning into Newswatch. I'm Tyler Cunnington.
And I'm Laura Cook. Now we begin tonight with news out of Cornell University, where first-year student Shawn West has been found dead in a residence hall room. West was reported missing Thursday by a family member in New York City and had last been seen on April 6th in his North Campus residence hall. He was just 18 years old.
No further information about the case is currently being released in accordance with family wishes. In a statement, the school says West was a promising young computer coder involved in many on-campus clubs. And now updates on the COVID-19 vaccine rollout here in Tompkins County. Homeless people and farm workers are two communities that are now at the front of the county's latest vaccine rollout plan. The health department is currently partnering with Reach Medical and have already vaccinated more than 70 local homeless people with their first dosage. The county is also planning some additional pop-up vaccine locations to better reach underserved communities. These clinics could become more frequent occurrences as New York State expands vaccine eligibility and increases its supply.
And Tompkins County has also begun to vaccinate inmates at the county jail. This comes after a recent memo from the New York State Commissioner of Corrections noting eligibility of all incarcerated individuals to receive the vaccine. All 46 of its current inmates were provided with the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and any individuals who become incarcerated will also be offered a dose of the vaccine, though it is not considered mandatory. Outbreaks in prisons have occurred across the country, including nearby in Cayuga County Jail, though there have been no major outbreaks reported among inmates at the Tompkins County Jail. We move now to some great news for all you chicken lovers out there. KFC is planning a return to Ithaca. In plans submitted to the city, KFC will be building a standalone restaurant equipped with a drive-through. The new KFC will occupy the space at 405 Elmira Road on the southwest edge of Ithaca. If approved, construction on the restaurant is slated to begin in September. This wouldn't be the first time KFC operated a restaurant in Ithaca. The fast food chain previously operated 2 locations on and near the Ithaca Commons. Those locations, though, did close several years ago.
Vaccination efforts are ramping up across the state, and New York has designated Ithaca College, Cornell University, and Tompkins Cortland Community College as COVID-19 vaccination sites. Newswatch reporter Daniel Capodilupo takes a look at what this means for these schools. Daniel?
Although the college vaccine rollout is unclear at the moment, the implications certainly spell out safer conditions for Tompkins County and safer conditions for the surrounding area of upstate New York. While the ramp-up of vaccination efforts continue across the state of New York, Ithaca College, Cornell University, and Tompkins Cortland Community College have all been approved as COVID-19 vaccination sites by New York State. According to the Ithaca Voice, it's unclear when the schools will be able to facilitate vaccine administration, and also unclear if they intend to start during this current academic year. Tompkins County spokesperson Dominic Riccio said that other than the approvals, the county has not received further instruction regarding how to proceed with the vaccination sites. It's also unknown whether or not the schools will be able to administer the vaccines to the general public, or if it will be restricted to only the staff and students. To further explore the implications of this, we're going to talk to an Ithaca College student and see what she thinks about what this will do and the impact on the community.
I'm really comforted by the fact that there are really readily available vaccines in this area, just because in a college environment, it's so hard to control for so many of the factors. As we've seen across all the universities in America, there have just been so many outbreaks on college campuses, and it really affects our mental health and our well-being. I actually just did research on that. And so yeah, I feel really comforted by the fact that there's available vaccines, and I hope that distribution can be equal across America.
With ICTV, I'm Daniel Capodilupo.
Thank you, Daniel. Almost 40 local climate justice activists rallied outside Assemblymember Anna Kels's office Friday in support of a proposed corporate emissions tax bill. Local organizations such as Climate Justice Cornell and Sunrise Ithaca showed up for the rally on the Climate and Community Investment Act. The CCIA will require fossil fuel companies to pay a fee on greenhouse gases and pollutants. This would raise about $15 billion per year over the next 10 years and would help fund green jobs, frontline communities, and a renewable economy for New York State.
And another candidate has announced they are running for the Tompkins County Legislature's 8th District seat. Enfield Town Board member Bob Lynch is running as a Democrat and representing the town of Newfield and a portion of the town of Enfield. He is the third person running for the seat. His platform involves responsible economic spending, formation of a separate law enforcement reform plan from the city of Ithaca's, and transparency in government, among others. His candidacy sets up a Democratic matchup with Vanessa Greenlee and Republican Randy Brown, who are both vying for the same spot. And New York State reveals new property tax credit for homeowners who make less than $250,000 a year. Generally, homeowners who make less than $250,000 but pay more than 6% of their income taxes qualify for this new credit, with some exceptions. This credit will be claimed when a person files their income tax return. It goes into place this year and will remain for the 2022 and 2023 tax years as well. Individuals can also consult with an accountant when filing for taxes next year, and tax filing software programs as well should account for it. More than 1 million homeowners will qualify. And now let's take a look at what's coming up in our Weather Center with Sam Copeland. Sam?
After a beautiful day yesterday, we've completely flipped the script, and it's been a damp one out there, and that's continuing into this evening. How long will the rain last, and will the rest of the week be unsettled? We'll get to that and more coming up.
Thank you, Sam. Schools in the state have begun to adjust their COVID-19 regulations by reducing physical distancing requirements from 6 feet to now 3 feet. The change comes with the release of new information from the CDC, allowing states to reduce social distancing measures as long as other safety protocols are followed, like the wearing of masks. However, students must still maintain the 6 feet while eating or performing activities such as singing or playing an instrument. All adults are also required to stay 6 feet apart. As for middle schools and high schools, physical distancing requirements will be determined by transmission rates in the area. And with the state expanding COVID-19 eligibility, Johnson & Johnson is unable to keep up with demand for their single-shot vaccine. Governor Andrew Cuomo has warned New Yorkers that this may reduce the number of available appointments for the short term. This all comes after the company had to discard 15 million doses of the vaccine due to quality control concerns last week. Now, despite the loss of doses, it will only have an impact on New York State's plans for vaccine distribution.
We've also been assured by Johnson & Johnson that they remain committed to meeting their contract of delivering 100 million doses by the end of May.
As of Friday, over 20% of New Yorkers have been vaccinated and almost 40% have received their first shot.
The House Ethics Committee is investigating the actions of local Republican Representative Tom Reed and Matt Gaetz of Florida. Reed was accused of touching a woman at a bar inappropriately 4 years ago. He originally denied wrongdoing, but later apologized to former lobbyist Nicolette Davis.
Meanwhile, Gaetz is facing a long list of accusations, which are a part of a separate investigation within the Justice Department. Gaetz has denied the accusations that he had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old who he paid to travel with. He has also been accused of showing sexually explicit videos while on the House floor. The committee says that it is looking into additional allegations against Gaetz regarding drug use, bribery, and the use of campaign funds for personal matters.
And coming up after the break, we'll have updates on the victims of last week's South Carolina shooting and a volcano in the Caribbean that erupted 3 times. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Now, the latest on the victims of the mass shooting in South Carolina Wednesday. Robert Shook, the last living victim of the York County mass shooting, has died from his injuries. Shook was an air conditioning technician and one of the 6 victims shot by former NFL player Philip Adams while he was working on the home of Dr. Robert Leslie and Barbara Leslie. His coworker was found dead inside the home along with the Leslies and their 2 grandchildren. A GoFundMe page has been set up for the affected families. And a 3-year-old shot and killed his 8-month-old brother yesterday at a Houston apartment in Texas. The Houston Police Department says the shooting unfolded accidentally when the child got a hold of an unsecured handgun. The baby was shot in the abdomen and died instantly. 4 adults were in the apartment at the time of the shooting. Investigators are looking into how the child was able to get a hold of the handgun and are preparing potential charges for the family for failing to store the weapon in a secure place, as it is illegal for firearms to be accessible to young children.
And 3 children were found dead yesterday morning, stabbed to death at an apartment in Los Angeles, California. All the children were under the age of 4. The youngest was just 6 months old. Los Angeles police have identified the only suspect in the killings, their mother, 30-year-old Liliana Carrillo. She had been in child custody dispute with the children's father. Carrillo was arrested in Ponderosa after a massive manhunt in Central California. And now, in response to the increase in shootings across the country, President Biden recently announced numerous executive orders to tackle the issue. Reporter Jordan Broking is in studio with more on the president's latest moves. Jordan?
That's right, Laura. Even though Congress has yet to sign a new gun control bill, Biden is taking action. As he said, he's had enough.
Enough, enough, enough.
Last week, President Biden announced a slate of gun control executive orders in response to the recent increase in gun violence across the country. The president's executive actions include placing restrictions on pistol stabilizing braces and tightening pre-existing restrictions on ghost guns, which are firearms without serial numbers that make them hard to track. Biden also announced that he wants to put money towards community violence intervention programs, as well as creating an annual report on firearm trafficking around the country. The president also named David Chipman as the next director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, an agency that has not had a permanent director since 2015.
Whether Congress acts or not, I'm going to use all the resources at my disposal as president to keep the American people safe from gun violence.
The president started that work already by having another executive order suggest that states should enact their own red law legislation, laws that will allow the government to take away someone's weapons in the event that they are a danger to themselves or others. Biden also pressured the Senate to vote on 3 bills that were already passed by the House of Representatives. However, this may not come as an easy feat for the president. In an interview with CNN, Senator Joe Manchin said he does not support the House bills the president spoke about, but he is willing to speak with Biden on the issue. Republican Senator Pat Toomey tweeted his opinion on Thursday, saying that he believes if the executive actions respect the public's rights, then there is an opportunity to strengthen the background check system. Republican and Democratic leaders also spoke on the executive orders, with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy tweeting that the president's actions will result in an unconstitutional overreach. New York Senator Chuck Schumer also tweeted a statement saying that the Senate will work to end the gun violence epidemic and he will bring legislation to the Senate floor. Now, nothing has been brought to the Senate floor yet, and the Senate has yet to vote on any of the House-approved bills. Biden did issue a warning to Congress, though, saying that now is not the time for prayers, but the time to act. Tyler, back to you at desk.
Thank you, Jordan. 2 Virginia police officers are facing a lawsuit after they pepper sprayed a Black and Latino U.S. Army officer at a traffic stop in December of last year. Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario was in uniform during the stop, and video footage of the incident shows Nazario being pepper sprayed several times as police asked him to exit his vehicle. He was brought down using a knee strike and then struck several times before being handcuffed. According to the lawsuit, officers altered or omitted details about the stop in their reports. Both officers, however, are still employed at the department in the town of Windsor. Meanwhile, Maryland's Democrat-controlled legislature has moved to pass a police reform package that repeals the state police Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights covered due process for officers accused of misconduct, and now the new law would give more oversight power to civilians instead. In addition, the law now requires officers to use force only when necessary, mandates body cameras, and restricts no-knock warrants. Maryland became the first state in the nation to make such a motion, overriding Republican Governor Larry Hogan's vetoes in the process. The motion comes amid a national reckoning with policing after the death of George Floyd by Minneapolis police last year.
Now for some news in Britain, Prince Philip will be laid to rest Saturday in a traditional ceremony in accordance with royal standards. The royal household has asked the public not to gather or leave flowers at any royal residencies due to the pandemic. The Duke also will not lie in state anywhere accessible to the public. Current COVID-19 guidelines limit the number of people who can attend funerals to 30. Across the world, leaders have reacted to his death.
Through the Duke of Edinburgh's award, he helped empower millions of young people from all backgrounds, including here in Canada, to realize their greatest potential.
President Joe Biden has also joined leaders in paying tribute to the late prince. Now we're joined here in studio with Dane Richardson to look at what's coming up in the world of sports. Dane?
Laura, Ithaca men's lacrosse went almost 2 weeks without a game due to a COVID pause, but they hit the field once again on Saturday afternoon against Clarkson. After a fast start, could they hold off the Golden Knights? Stay tuned to find out.
Thanks, Dane. In some more international news, the La Soufriere volcano on the Caribbean island of St. Vincent could continue to erupt for days or even weeks. The volcano erupted 3 times Friday, causing a plume of ash that extended 20,000 feet into the air. Residents awoke yesterday morning to falling ash and the smell of sulfur. Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves has declared a disaster alert and put evacuation orders into effect for dozens of districts affecting over 6,000 people. This Friday eruption was the first seen in LA in La Soufriere since April of 1979.
And coming up, Sam Copeland will have your weather forecast update. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Is it time to pull out the umbrellas and raincoats?
Thanks, guys. So this morning we had an AM low of 53, very mild morning. You're right around your average high, which is 54. Your average low is 32. Back in 2017, you had a record high of 79, which is pretty close to the temperature we were at yesterday. And 10 years earlier, your record low of 20. Down below, your sunrise and sunset times are getting pretty close to 8 p.m. sunset. So here are headlines. What to know for the week ahead. So we're going to have ongoing showers continuing tonight and into tomorrow, but we're going to have a break midweek as some sun breakout Tuesday into Wednesday, but the unsettled conditions will make their way back Wednesday night, Thursday, and Friday, putting a damper on the end of the week. So we'll show you that in your future cast. Right now we're being dominated by this low pressure system, which is just sitting there, if anything, retrograding a bit, just keeping us in this just unsettled weather. But by Tuesday into Wednesday, notice how high pressure comes back into the picture, and that's going to allow for some sun to break. Again, we'll loop through this. So this is Monday. Notice how the showers are just kind of sitting over the Finger Lake region and the Great Lakes. By Tuesday into Wednesday, that finally pushes out of here. We get some nice, we get some clear skies, and then your next system for Wednesday night into Thursday moves on in from the west. That will just bring some showers, but it will be cool. We'll get to that in your 7-day forecast. Let's focus on the weather tonight. It's going to be ongoing, just those scattered showers, a bit breezy, southeast wind, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Temperatures won't drop too much from where they are now. 47 Binghamton, 51 Geneva, and 50 up in Syracuse. Tomorrow, temperatures really don't move from the low. 50 in Binghamton, 52 in Ithaca, 53 in Geneva. It's going to definitely feel cool out there with those clouds hanging overhead. Ongoing sporadic showers throughout the day. You could even get into a period really anywhere in the region where you get a quick downpour. Winds won't be too much of a factor, southeast 5 to 10. So here's your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow is just going to be kind of a damp day. Tuesday, we finally get some sun after that 2-day after the previous 2 days were unsettled. Partly sunny, 63. Wednesday, same exact temperatures. Those clouds will be moving in as we get into the afternoon, getting ready for our next system to move into Thursday. And looks like the same as Monday, basically, the same temperature. It's going to feel cool out there, some showers. That could drag into the morning Friday. By Friday afternoon, we should break out into some sun. 53. Saturday should be a nice one, and the clouds may return as we get into the end of next weekend. So for Newswatch Weather, I'm Sam Copeland. Have a great rest of the evening, everyone.
Thank you, Sam. After the break, Dane Richardson will join us for your sports update after what was a pretty busy weekend. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Our very own Dane Richardson is here with updates on sports. Dane, what do you have for us today?
The Ithaca men's lacrosse team knows that it can compete with anyone. They just needed the opportunity. Welcome into sports. I'm Dane Richardson. Fresh off a 3-game COVID-19 pause, Ithaca men's lacrosse was back on the field for their first Liberty League game against Clarkson. Let's take a look at the highlights. You'd expect there to be some rust. Well, never heard of it. Connor Brumfield starts off the scoring. The Bombers were on the run from there. Second quarter, it's Jake Erickson feeding Blake Eischen in front of the net. They gave the Bombers a 7-2 lead. They would head into halftime, leading by 4. Second half, however, different story. Clarkson battles back to within 1. Alex Sharon, all of a sudden, it's 11-10. Then the Bombers got fancy for the final goal. Razzle dazzle. It's Connor Brumfield behind the back off the feed from Jake Erickson. Ithaca goes on to win 12-11. Something important to know, junior goalie for Ithaca, Connor Thornton, had a career-high 22 saves. Here's what he had to say after the win.
Come back at half, man. Like, they're a scrappy team. We knew when we were playing them that they were going to be right up in our stuff. So I just kind of tried to just keep carrying the momentum through from the first half that I'd built up, and just like staying calm and not getting rattled after any sort of runs. It's just like ebbs and flows, man. It's a roller coaster, so just got to try to stay flat and not ride the roller coaster.
The team will have their biggest test yet this Wednesday when they travel to face #1 ranked RIT. The Bombers held off Clarkson's late game push, and speaking of late game heroics, insert the Ithaca baseball team. The 5-5 Bombers traveled to Poughkeepsie, New York to face Vassar in a doubleheader this weekend. Down 6-0 heading into the final inning, the 7th inning, Ithaca scored, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 11 runs to take the lead. They would go on to win Game 1 11-9. As for Game 2, not nearly as stressful. The Bombers pounded out 17 hits as a team, highlighted by shortstop Jack Lynch's 3 hits and 4 RBIs. Ithaca would sweep the doubleheader and win it 17-1. 17. That's how many road wins the Los Angeles Lakers were looking for Saturday night when they headed to Brooklyn to face the Nets. No LeBron, no Anthony Davis, but the Lakers more than held their own. Early on in the second quarter, it's Kyrie Irving looking like he's at the circus with the layup. Then again, Irving from 3. Lakers headed into the break, up by 3. Second half, though, all Lakers. Markieff Morris with the throwdown. Then Ben McLemore saying the city of Brooklyn can't hold us, if you know what I mean. 17 second half points, including 5 3-pointers, as the Lakers got the surprise win on the road. Tyler, Laura, listen. An important win for this Lakers team, especially over a potent net squad without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, leaving the NBA playoff result a total mystery. Maybe I'll have to leave my friend Scooby-Doo up to it. After all, he's pretty good at that. Guys?
Thanks, Dane. Los Angeles is looking like a tough team to stop, and with tonight being National Pet Day, it's been pretty tough to stop looking at all these great photos of some pets from our cast and crew here at Newswatch. Check these out. Now, Tyler, the CDC says that there's plenty of health benefits to owning a pet, including decreased blood pressure and less feelings of loneliness. That is a kind of fun fact for you there. I did not know that myself.
Yeah, Laura, pets have definitely kept people company during the pandemic. Last year, when states started to go on lockdown, animal shelters saw an increase in adoptions. And even if you don't have a pet right now, you can still celebrate this day by donating your time or money to shelters, or even going out to adopt a pet if you're feeling that ambitious.
And that is all we have for you tonight. You can stay up to date with ICTV News on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
We'll be back on Tuesday with Mark Scaglione and Emily Latimer. Have a great night, everyone.